All right, sixth grade scientist, Mr. Fritz here. We're doing chapter 8, lesson 2, changes in state. Make sure you pause the video, rewind when you need to, but pause to write down the terms and definitions and lesson summary and the filling out the picture diorama on the back of this sheet. And this will all be used on your notes check. The essential question is, how is temperature related to particle motion? What does temperature in the air have to do with how particles move? And what happens to thermal energy when matter changes from one state to another? So let's kick it off. And the first word is kinetic energy. What does that have to do? I'm going to use my fist to pretend they're particles of matter. Remember, solids vibrate in place, liquids can slide around, and gases fly all over. So all states of matter have some kind of kinetic energy in their particles. And kinetic energy is just the energy an object has due to motion. Now, if you look at the solids, the liquids, and the gases, how can you tell which one has more kinetic energy? Well, you'd probably say the gas does because the particles are moving around faster, farther apart, and all that. Solids have the lowest kinetic energy because those particles are just vibrating in place. Liquids have faster or more kinetic energy than solids, but gases have the most. Now the question is, how do we increase that kinetic energy? Or how do we measure it and all that? It has to do with temperature and thermal energy, but what is temperature? Temperature is the measure of the average kinetic energy of all particles of an object. So if you think about it, when you measure the temperature outside, you're measuring how fast particles are moving. That's all you're doing, okay? So when we measure the temperature outside in the middle of the winter, you could probably guess the particles in the air are moving slower. And in the summer, when it's warmer, the particles are moving faster, okay? That's a really cool way to think about it. The higher the temperature, the faster the particles are moving. The lower the temperature, the slower. I like to do that lower and slower stuff, okay? Now, how can we increase the temperature? We increase it by adding thermal energy. What is thermal energy? It's the total potential and kinetic energy of an object. I want you in here, you know what I would think? I'm going to add, think heat, okay? Think heat. So when you add thermal energy, you're adding heat to something. So how do you increase the temperature? You just add thermal energy. That's it. In the wintertime, we lose thermal energy. It's not as warm outside, so the temperature lowers. That means particles in the air are going slower. That's why we have more ice on the ground instead of puddles of water, okay? Now, how does this go with how matter changes? Well, I'm going to give you some examples here as we move on. One of those examples is vaporization, and then we're going to start with that. Vaporization is the change in state of a liquid into a gas, okay? Vaporization, this happens, there's two forms, and I want you to note this first form in the same box. Vaporization that occurs within a liquid is called boiling, and the temperature at which boiling occurs in a liquid is called the boiling point. Now, what's really, really interesting for Celsius is that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It's a perfect even number. In Fahrenheit, I think it's 212 or something, but it's way easier. That's why we use Celsius. 0 degrees Celsius, that's where water freezes, and 100 degrees Celsius is where water boils, okay? So the boiling point of just normal water, if I put this in a pan and boiled it, it would be 100 degrees. And what boiling is when the heat is circulating through here, okay? Heat is circulating through here. How is that different from our next term, boiling, different from evaporation? Well, what is evaporation? Evaporation is vaporization that occurs only at the surface of a liquid. So if I look here and I left this water bottle out with no top on it, in the summer, what would happen is the UV rays would hit the very top here, and just the particles would start to vaporize, and they would go from a liquid into a gas, and they would go out into the air. That's different from where if I added thermal energy directly to like the bottom here and boiled the water, the heat would circulate here and all of the liquid would be boiling and going through that process, where it's different because evaporation, if it's just at the surface of a liquid, the UV light hits that very surface. I'm using my fingers to pretend it's the surface of a water, and those particles will peel off into the air, and then you have a new top layer, and then those particles go off in the air, and then you have a new top layer. That's why in the summertime, when you go outside and see a puddle, it just disappears after a while. Nobody goes out and mops it up. It disappears because of evaporation, because those top particles are getting excited, they're getting more thermal energy, and they splinter off, okay? Now, we want to go the opposite with that. What's the opposite of vaporization? Well, we're talking about when a gas turns back into a liquid. And the change of state from a gas to a liquid is called condensation. What happens here, remember to pause anytime, rewind when you need to. Condensation is when you have these gas particles flying around and they start to lose thermal energy. The temperature goes down and they start to collect again and go from a gas back into a liquid. This might happen. I'm going to use my water bottle here. In the summertime, if you have a really cold drink, you can try this out, or a can of soda or something. And what happens is these water particles in the air, they bump into that object, whatever it may be. Let's say a cold bottle of water. And what happens is they lose their thermal energy. It goes into the water bottle, and then those gas particles of water, they start to collect on like this, and they slide around because they collect on the outside. So when somebody goes, ew, my bottle's wet, sweating, or my can is sweating, that's not what's happening. What's happening is the particles are going from a gas back into a liquid form because there's such a dramatic temperature change, or thermal energy is lower, getting lowered, okay? But that dramatic temperature change is why we see condensation. Now we have two other terms here. We have sublimation. Now, sublimation is really special. This is the change of state from a solid to a gas without going through the liquid state. If you've ever seen dry ice, what that is that's very highly condensed and really low temperature carbon dioxide. How they make it is they take all of the carbon dioxide gas, they suck it into a machine, and they bring the temperature very low, way below 0 degrees Celsius, and it pressurizes that carbon dioxide gas so it's a state of solid, okay? Now, if you take that out, you see that solid and all that steam. Some people use it for like smokiness for like Halloween and stuff, but they use that dry ice. That dry ice has that steam coming off of it. Well, that's not really steam. That's carbon dioxide gas coming off the dry ice, and that's going through a process of sublimation. We're going to investigate that more in a future lab. Now, we also have the opposite called deposition. This is the change of state of a gas to a solid without going through the liquid state. This is the opposite of sublimation. You have seen this if you've ever went out in the fall in the morning, like you're going to catch the bus or take a ride to school, and if you've noticed frost on the grass. In that situation, what's happening is the gas particles, my hands are like water particles in the air, they're flying around, but the thermal energy kind of goes away really fast in the fall, and the temperature drops really fast. So those particles are floating around, and what happens, they don't have time to get together again and go through condensation, because condensation is when two water particles that get together and they can slide around. They never can get together again because they lose their energy so fast that they just kind of drop and they land right on the grass or the leaves, and then you get this thin layer of frost. That is what we call deposition. Now let's look at our summary of our lesson. Back of your lab or your note sheet. All matter has thermal energy, and thermal energy is the sum of potential and kinetic energy. All matter has thermal energy. I can measure how much thermal energy this has or this. They all have thermal energy. Okay, remember thermal energy is kind of like heat. Now when thermal energy is added to a liquid, vaporization can occur. So when heat is added to this liquid, if I add enough heat, this will start to either boil, or if the sunlight is hitting just the top layer of this liquid, it'll start to evaporate, okay? And when enough thermal energy is removed or enough heat is taken away, the change of state can also occur. You can go from this liquid into the solid state. The very last thing I want you to have on the back is this picture right here is already put on your sheet. You just have to fill it in. And this is a nice flow chart, and I use liquid a lot. What's really cool about water, and you should know this, water is the only substance, at least that I know of, that naturally occurs on the planet Earth as a solid, liquid, and gas. As solid, it's ice, okay? Right now in Minnesota, there's ice all over in the middle of winter. What happens is we add enough thermal energy, that solid ice will turn into liquid water, okay? And as we continue to add thermal energy to that liquid water, remember liquid, 0 to 100 degrees is liquid. Below 0 degrees Celsius, it's a solid. But if we continue to add heat to that, or thermal energy, it will turn into a gas in the air. And we have water vapor in the air. I just breathed in some water vapor. There's water vapor in the air. So that's why water is really cool, because it's the only substance on Earth that I know of that's a solid, liquid, and gas naturally at the Earth's normal temperatures. Now let's go backwards. If we take away thermal energy or take away heat from the gas, it turns back into a liquid form, okay? And then if you continue to take away thermal energy, that liquid will go through the freezing process and turn back into a solid. Now, remember, we also talked about some special incidences, like for dry ice, where it goes from a solid right into a gas. It doesn't have time to be a liquid. So those solids are vibrating, and when there's such a dramatic temperature change, it goes boom, and they go right to a gas. And dry ice is the best example that I can tell you. The opposite of that is called deposition, when you go from a gas right to a solid. One example of that is, like I said, the frost on the grass that you see in the morning. One other thing I want to talk about too is this heating curve of water graph. Okay, this is going to help you. Just keep this in your mind. Solid liquids, water is a solid less than 0 degrees, like I said. Okay, as we add thermal energy, that solid will start to melt. Okay, that solid water will melt at 0 degrees and turn into a liquid. And as you continue to add thermal energy, that liquid will continue to get warmer and warmer and warmer until it hits the boiling point. That's at 100 degrees Celsius. And that water will be boiling and turn into a gas. Now, you could do the opposite. And if you take, instead of saying thermal energy increases, if you decrease thermal energy, that gas state of water will start to go, that's flying around, will start to condense and go through condensation at 100 degrees and turn back into a liquid. So between 100 and 0, it's a liquid. And what's the opposite? When you get to 0 degrees Celsius, that liquid water will freeze again. So instead of melting, it will freeze and turn back into a solid. And you know that because we live in Minnesota if you go outside. All right. So hopefully this will help you. Use these notes to do your notes check. You're going to want these notes for future assignments and labs and all of that. Send us any questions you have, and I hope you got something out of this and have a scientific day.